Texas wins this game versus Kentucky. Not a pretty second half, a very, very pretty first half for the Texas Longhorns, and then they absolutely melt down in the second half, especially the third quarter, but they still win the football game 31-14. Kentucky could have played them for 3 games. I don't think they were scoring more than 21 points on our defense. Defense was phenomenal. Offense was good for 3 quarters, bad for 1 quarter, and we'll get into that. But again, guys, please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. It really helps out the channel. Texas wins a football game and lands a commitment from Joseph Mbachu. I dropped a video on that. Please check that out. It really helps out the channel and what we're trying to build here. I'm here every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern time live, so please check it out. I love the defense. I love this defense too, Dan. The defense balled out in this game. They played phenomenal football and only gave up 7 points. I hate, by the way, that's a bugaboo of mine. I've had that issue for a long time. We're talking about this defense giving up 14 points because that's what the scoreboard says. And that'll actually go down statistically as giving up 14 points. Why they have not changed that is ridiculous to me. They gave up 7 points. They did phenomenal. Offense gave up as many points as they did. That last touchdown drive was for Fasusi. Yeah, I'm hoping it was. That was a fantastic drive there. 11 straight run plays or something like that? I mean, that is just going at the Kentucky defensive line, ramming it down their throats. That was phenomenal. That would be awesome if we could land that commitment sometime tonight or in the next couple days. That'd be phenomenal. I think there's a real chance. I think there is a real chance. I thought we'd get the Joseph Mbachu commitment today. I thought it'd be after the game and not before, but I think there's a real chance that we land someone else because of this game. And overall, just a frustrating game overall because you see the potential of the Texas offense in the first half. They're clicking on all cylinders. Quinn Ewers looks fantastic. And then third quarter, they just completely shit down their leg. Jaden Blue fumbles. Jarrett Gibson fumbles. Quinn Ewers fumbles, which leads to that turnover in the touchdown. So it's just very, very frustrating as a whole from this team to watch them because you watch them at their highest level and you think this team can win a national championship. And then in the same game, you watch them again completely, down their leg, and it's just not good enough. And it's very frustrating to watch. But overall, I'll take the win. We move into the A&M week with only 1 loss with a chance to go 11-1 to finish out the season, which I predicted. My only loss, actually, I predicted off-season-wise was versus this Kentucky team. I thought they'd be better. They're terrible offensively. But let's get into the good, guys. So the good for this Texas offense, and we'll start early on. Quinn Ewers was dealing. He had finished 20 of 31 for 191 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he had over 100, 40 or 50 of those yards at halftime. He was completing 65% of his passes, and he threw beautiful passes on top of that. The one to Isaiah Bond between 3 defenders over Pop Dumas Johnson's head. Phenomenal ball, right where he can catch it. Beautiful. He threw another one to Gunnar Helm in the end zone that went over a defender and then beat the other defender that's guarding Gunnar Helm. And it had enough velocity to keep the safety from coming over and intercepting it. Beautiful touchdown there as well. But then from there, guys, he obviously hurt his leg, and that made the difference. He was not the same quarterback. I honestly thought he should have been taken out of the game, but we decided not to. But let's concentrate on the good for right now because that's what we are on. Trey Wisner, fantastic football game and a fantastic game from the offensive line and the running backs as a whole of just running the football. We'll get to the fumbling in the bad part, but running. 26 carries for 158 yards, 6.1 yards per carry for Trey Wisner. He was very good, and he is our most consistent running back. I don't think he has the best upper-end talent of the room, but he is our most consistent running back. He had 1 touchdown as well. Jaden Blue had 15 carries for 96 yards and 6.4 yards per carry and a touchdown as well. Again, he has the highest ceiling in the running back room. His issue is fumbling, but overall, really good game running from him. Matthew Golden. Listen, guys, I was right on quite a bit in the SEC and Texas as a whole, and I tried to tell people Matthew Golden is going to be the second best wide receiver in our room. He might be the first. He might be the best wide receiver we have at Texas currently. 7 receptions, 86 yards, no touchdowns for him. He was phenomenal today. He always is. When I came to the season, I said he's going to be your most dependable target. He is going to be your guy that you're going to be able to depend on every down, play in and play out, game in and game out, and he's been able to do that. He's been phenomenal. I'm hoping we can get him back. He actually, I don't believe, participated in senior days, but I don't read too much in that because Kelvin Banks and Cameron Williams did not participate, and I fully expect Kelvin Banks to go pro. I'd be shocked if he did. Michael Taft did, which would kind of surprise me if he left because right now I think he's probably like a fourth-round pick. I think if he comes back, he'd be like a second-round pick. So that would kind of surprise me if he does. So I think he should come back. But overall, Matthew Golden was phenomenal. Isaiah Bond, you can tell he's still limited, guys. He's not blocking very well, and I think he's better blocker than he showed today. That ankle's still bothering him. He only had 2 catches for 27 yards. And then Gunnar Helm had 2 touchdowns again today, 51 yards receiving, also good at blocking in the run game. Steve Sarkisian, they said during the press conference or during the game that during the week he was pushing for this guy to win the Mackey Award. And I think there's a real case for this guy to win the Mackey Award. No tight ends to me come to mind right now. If I dig deep into the numbers and look at the tape, I'm sure some would come to mind. But Gunnar Helm, I do think is the best tight end in America currently. And I'm shocked by that. I knew he was going to be good. I didn't think he was going to be just as good as Jatavian Sanders was last year. I really don't think we missed a beat with Gunnar Helm. He's been phenomenal this year. Nothing but good things to say about Gunnar Helm. And his time on the 40 acres is coming to an end, and salute to him. He's been phenomenal. He'll probably be a second-round pick. That's how good he's been. So I can't believe a year ago if you'd have told people Gunnar Helm would have just as good of a season as Jatavian Sanders and probably got drafted higher, I think people would have laughed at that. But it is happening. And I would have laughed at that 2 years ago. Last year, before the season, I would have told you no. But heading to this year, I said he was my breakout guy on the offensive side of the ball. And he's been that. He's been phenomenal. Gunnar Helm, like I said, had a really good day. Now let's go to defense. And my God, did Colin Simmons have himself a day? 1 sack, I guess, is what he had. I think he had more than that. There's no way he only had 1 sack. I'm pretty sure he had 2, but Bleacher Report is telling me he had 1. They'll change things at the end of the day if they did get it wrong, and we can go into the recap and talk about him. But I'm pretty sure he had multiple sacks, at least 1.5. He also forced a fumble at the end. Yeah, he had to have more than 1. Trey Moore is starting to turn it on. That is 2.5 sacks for Trey Moore in the last 2 weeks. He's been phenomenal. And then Anthony Hill had 2 sacks, 6 solo tackles, and 11 tackles total. He's been phenomenal. Barron Sorrell on his senior day, and a very underrated player at his time at Texas, had a sack today as well. Just overall a hell of a game for the Texas defense. When we talk about that, what is that? That's 3, 4, 6 sacks on the day, I believe. 6 sacks on the day. So phenomenal performance from them. That is back-to-back 6 sacks weeks. They are starting to turn it on. And this is, in my opinion, one of the 5 best pass rushing defensive lines in the country. They've been phenomenal. So really good day as a whole from the Texas running backs when it comes to receiving and rushing the football. Really good overall day from the Texas defense, other than a couple mishaps where Kentucky did beat you deep on a couple plays you did mess up on. I think there was 3 or 4 plays on the day where Kentucky as a team had like 70 or 80 yards total. And they only had 232 yards. So we're talking about if you clean those 3 to 4 plays up, they only have 130, 140 yards. That would have been phenomenal. But still, holding a team to under 250 yards is phenomenal. We dominated this football game, guys. This game should have been worse than it was. 27 first downs to 14, 261 rushing yards to 21 rushing yards, 6 sacks to 1 sack. I mean, there's nothing they did better today other than passing yards. And some of those came in the end during that last drive. To push them over us at 191 yards is what we finished at. But overall, I think it was a good performance from most of the aspects of this team. Are there things this team has to clean up? Yes, they aren't a perfect team. And luckily this year, there is no perfect team or even great team in college football. But this team at times looks like it looks as good, if not better, than anyone else in the country. But again, it's the consistency in little things. Right now, we just don't do that well enough to win, I think, a national championship. Do I think this team can win a game or 2 in the college football playoff if we get there? Yes. But right now, this isn't a national championship team because we don't do the little things well. And that is unfortunate to say. Could that change? Yes, it could, because, again, there is no great team in college football. But again, guys, before we get to the bad, can you please hit that like button? Please subscribe down below. It really helps out. We're trying to build here. If there's more of you in this post-game show, I can go for longer. We can have an open discussion. Right now, I'm kind of just blabbing my gab here and talking college football, which I don't mind, obviously. That's why I do this. But I would like to have an open discussion with you guys in the future. So again, please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. Texas does win this football game 31-14. Pretty dominant fashion statistically. When it comes to the final score, I don't think it was. I think we should have won this game by 24 to 28 points personally, but we just did not stop from shooting ourselves in the foot, especially in that third quarter. Now, let's get to the bad, because there was plenty of bad, even though we do win this football game. And Texas, like I said, wins this game 31-14. Now, the bad. Quinn Ewers gets hurt. How does that affect him going forward? Because, guys, I don't know if it was just me, but I think this was the first time I've seen Quinn Ewers look comfortable since Michigan. I don't think he's really looked comfortable in the pocket. He looked completely dialed in, completely comfortable in the pocket, was delivering passes down the field. The one ball to Isaiah Bond where I thought you could have called pass interference wasn't a bad throw. It was a little bit underthrown, but Isaiah Bond actually did have it in his hands. But once he got hurt, he looked rattled. He did not look great. And I thought Steve Sarkisian honestly should have pulled him. He didn't, and it worked out because we just decided to run the football from here on out. But we're not beating Texas A&M on the road with Arch Manning at quarterback. Quinn Ewers is going to have to be healthy for that game, and I think we're going to have to rely heavily on this run game. The run game has gotten it going the last couple weeks. I will say the run game has been much better the last couple weeks. The pass protection has been much better, and it kind of sucks because Quinn Ewers looked like he got back to his old normal self, but it turns out then he gets hurt, and he just looks like he has before that. He doesn't look very good. So hopefully he can be healthy going into next week's game. I think that's a big thing. But other than that, he was pretty damn good. And this is the biggest thing I'm going to hit on, the fumbling problems. We have to stop fumbling the football. I'm sick and tired of us fucking fumbling the football. I try not to cuss, guys, but it's utterly ridiculous to watch these guys continuously make the same boneheaded mistakes, especially Jaden Blue. Guys, I made a video about 2 months ago saying this running game is going to have to be better to win a national championship. It's gotten better since then. I also said to do that, you actually have to hold on to the ball, because if you're not holding on to the ball, but the running game gets better, it doesn't matter because you're giving the other team possessions. This team continuously fumbles the football. Jaden Blue, when I made that video, was fumbling once every 40 touches. If you're fumbling once every 40 touches, you get about 200 touches every season as a running back in Sark's system. That means you're fumbling 5 times. What is that? 5 times? 5 times a season. And if you're a number 1 running back in the NFL, you're touching it 300 to 400 times. We're talking about a guy that would fumble 10 times in a season. If you extrapolate that, 40 times 10 is 400 touches. That's 10 fumbles a season. You ain't playing much in the NFL if you're fumbling that much. So honestly, not a very good job by Jaden Blue. He's not gotten better. He does not carry it very well. He carries it down here instead of up here, especially when he gets in the open field. He gets very loose with the football, because I think in high school, when he would get away from people, he would break away with that speed and no one would catch up to him. And listen, he still can do that. The problem is this year he hasn't been. And he's been getting caught from behind and fumbling in those certain instances, and that is translated also to bad habits and where he's not breaking away from people and the ball's down here. So he's got to fix that. I don't know if he can at this point. I'm honestly just thinking that's who he is, and that really sucks because talent-wise, he is by far the most talented running back we have. I really believe that. He's turned it on the last couple weeks. He's looked phenomenal, but he fumbles the ball way too damn often, and it's got to stop. And then on top of that, we replace him with Jared Gibson, and then he fumbles. He's got a fumbling issue. He fumbled twice versus Florida. He fumbled he didn't fumble versus Arkansas because I don't think he had many carries, and then he had fumbled in this game. So he's fumbled 3 times in the last probably 20 touches he's had. So between Jaden Blue and Jared Gibson, too many fumbling issues. The only guy I can count on when it comes to holding onto the ball most of the time is Trey Wisner. He still fumbles a decent amount, but nowhere near Jared Gibson and Jaden Blue numbers fumbling-wise. So, and if he plays like he did today, he's good enough. 26 carries, 158 yards is definitely good enough. So to me, I think you got to go with Trey Wisner. I've said that for a while now. Beforehand, I said you have to go with Trey Wisner because I thought he was just getting the most production. Now Jaden Blue's getting more production, but he's just fumbling, and you just can't keep that guy in the football game if he's going to continually fumble. Does that mean I think this guy should have all of his carries taken away? Absolutely not. But I do think you're going to have to take some of his carries away at this point, guys, because it's just not working for right now. For whatever reason, we'll see what happens with that. If we can get it changed, Tashard Choice definitely going to have to make some changes there. See if we can get that fixed. We'll see if that can be changed this late in the season. I don't know if it can be. It really sucks, guys. It really does because again, Jaden Blue is so damn talented, but he just can't not hold on to the football. Let's get to some other negative things. this team has issues with when they do not handle in-game prosperity well. I don't understand it. It's baffling to me. It's 24-7. You stop them on the opening drive. You could easily go down here from what I've seen and end this game 31-7. It's over. They're not scoring more than 14 points in this game offensively. They're not a very good offensive team. And the fumbles, the penalties, Silas Bolden trying to get him back in the game. It's 24-14 on that punt, and Silas Bolden muffs it, and he has the propensity to do that, guys, because we've seen it. We've seen him play with danger multiple times this year where guys are surrounding him, and for whatever reason, he decides to catch it and then run. He decides to play it off the bounce. He decides to fall backwards and catch it, and he finally fumbles one, and we got lucky. He recovers it. If he doesn't recover and they go in and score there, that could change the whole momentum of that football game. If it's 24-21 with Quinn Ewers not being able to throw the ball because he's hurt and Sark not wanting to take him out, who knows what the hell happened? So this team, just stay out of your own way. That's my main takeaway from this game. That's my main takeaway from the season. This defense is special enough to where if you score 24 points versus 95% of college football, you're going to win the game. If you score 28 points versus the rest of college football, you win. I don't think any offense in this country, unless our offense decides to give them the ball in a short field or we muff punts, is going to score more than 27 points versus this defense. I'm very confident in saying that. You're not going to put together 4 drives of 70, 60 plus yards on this defense. But if this offense is going to give you the ball and allow you to score on 30-yard drives, 40-yard drives, absolutely teams can do that. I think Ohio State could get the ball at the 35 and go score a touchdown or a field goal. I think Oregon could get the ball at the 35-40 and go score a field goal if we're giving them short field position. I think A&M can do that because, listen, they're going to play their best football game. They're going to be so pumped up for that game. I would not be surprised if they lose tonight and they win next week if we continually shoot ourselves in the foot. That is the biggest thing. That is what is stopping Texas from taking that next step. That is it, guys. That is the only thing is us. It's honestly like a metaphor for life. Most of the time, the biggest issue in life is you. You get in your own way, and that is Texas. Texas gets in their own way. Kentucky doesn't get in our own way. Arkansas didn't get in our own way. Vanderbilt didn't get in our way. None of those teams got in our way. Texas did. Texas made stupid, boneheaded mistakes and they're boneheaded mistakes away from coasting away in all of those games. But they decide to play with their food, play stupid, and allow the team to come back in the game. And then you know how I know we play with our food? Arkansas, when you need to go score, what do? You go score. Kentucky, when you need to go score, what do? You go score. It's typical of this Texas team. And we saw what it translates to when we play a real top 10 team in Georgia. Georgia beat the shit out of our offense because our offense could not stay out of our own way. We're missing protections. Quinn Ewers is not playing fundamental sound football, stepping up at the pocket, turning the football over. The reason that game was close is because of our defense. So please, Texas, just clean it up offensively. That is what I'm asking you. Play a clean brand of football. I'm not asking you to be extravagant. I'm not asking you to be I'm not asking you to be pleasing. I'm not asking you to hit 5 to 6 deep balls. I'm asking you to be consistent and fundamentally sound. That is what I'm asking. I don't think that's too much to ask for with a senior quarterback, with a really good offensive line that is clicking and playing well. I do not understand it. It has to get better on the offensive side of the ball if this team wants to go any further than, I think, the final 8. I think that's the top end right now if they continue to play this way offensively, which is inconsistent. But overall, they do get the win 31-14. Just clean it up, be better, be more consistent. That is the main takeaway from this game. We play Texas A&M next week for a chance to go to the SEC championship game, and most likely if Alabama wins tonight, that is who we will play. So again, guys, please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. It really helps us out. 7 p.m. Eastern time every Monday night with me, Texas Longhorns Live. We'll recap the game, recruiting update, and also dive into that Texas A&M game. I really appreciate you guys being here. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. Hook 'em, guys.